Good morning, boys and girls. We are going to continue our studying of measurement. Today we're going to talk about measurement in the customary set of measurements for measuring weight, how heavy something is. Those two components are ounces and pounds. Now, ounces is different than what we learned yesterday. Yesterday we learned about ounces when we were talking about liquid measure, but now we're talking about solid, how heavy something is. Not how much space it takes, but how heavy it is. An ounce is the smallest unit, and when you get 16 of those ounces together, you have a pound. Now, you might measure things like a slice of bread. That would be an ounce, or about an ounce if it's not exactly an ounce. So you might use ounces to measure how heavy something like this pad is. That would be measured in ounces. Anything that's less than a pound. So if you want to get an idea, just like when I showed you that from the tip of your nose to the tip of your fingers was about a yard, and that when you put your two thumbs together and spread out your pinkies, that the space between pinky and pinky would be about a foot. Well, to get an idea of how much an ounce is, it's about if you took a slice of bread and put it in your hand, that would be about an ounce. And as far as a pound would go, that would be more like the whole loaf of bread. That would maybe be a pound. It's an about. It's not an exact. It's just to get an idea and wrap your mind around, well, what is an ounce? What is a pound? If you were to hold a piece of bread, that's about an ounce. If you were to hold the whole loaf of bread, that's about a pound. Okay? They're not exact measurements. Okay? An ounce in weight is an exact measurement. And 16 of those together is a pound, and that's an exact measurement. Now, I'm going to turn the camera around, and I want you to copy into your notebook the following information. Hopefully I could do this with one hand. Let's see. Okay, so I want you to put today's chapter, which is chapter 8-5. It's ounce. Look how you spell ounce. O-U-N-C-E. And pounds. P-O-U-N-D. Ounces and pound. And then today's date. Then you're going to skip a line. And you're going to write 1 O-U-N-C-E is written this way. 1, I'm going to make my ones look like ones, okay? 1 O-Z, okay? O-Z. No period. But the O-Z, I know that's crazy because there's no Z in the word ounce. But in the Latin word from which it's derived, there is a Z. So it's 1 0Z. Space in between the 1 and the O-Z, no period. And when you have pound, this is even trickier. 1 pound would be written this way. 1, here we go, lowercase l, lowercase b. Now, these are the only tricky ones as far as their abbreviation go. 1 OZ is for an ounce, and 1 LB is for a pound. Okay? Now, when you have 16 ounces, 16 ounces will equal 1 pound. Now you can see why I'm writing my ones this way in this lesson, because I don't want it to be confused with an lowercase l. So you're going to copy these 3 things down in your notebook. If you need to, pause the video because I'm going to move on now. All right, so just like when we were studying capacity yesterday, which is the amount of space something takes up, and then before that we were studying inches, feet, yards, and miles, and sometimes we had to convert between them. Well, the same thing is true with ounces and pounds. The first thing we're going to talk about is, well, how do you know when to use ounce and when you need to use pound? Well, let's see. I'm going to turn it back so you're looking at me again for a while. Okay, so you would use, let's see, if I asked you to tell you were going to measure the weight of a feather, you think you'd use pounds or do you think you'd use ounces? Hopefully you said ounces. Now ounces is the smallest unit, pounds is the larger unit. It's not the largest, but it's the largest one we're going to use today. So the smallest unit is an ounce, and the next larger is a pound. Okay, so how about if I was going to weigh a chicken? Would I use ounces or pounds? Well, I guess that could go either way, right? I mean, it depends how big the chicken is. If the chicken is very small, it's a baby chick, and it may not weigh a pound yet, then we would use ounces. But if it weighs at least a pound or more, we wouldn't turn it to ounces. We'd use pound. How about if I wanted to weigh this pen? Ounces. How about if I wanted to weigh the television? Yeah, pounds. How about a ping pong ball? Ounces. How about the microwave? Pounds. Good. Alrighty. So if I said to think about a stick of butter, you know, the rectangle shaped butter, would it be a better estimate? Which would be a better estimate, 4 ounces, 4 pounds, 8 ounces, 1 stick of butter? Hopefully you said 4 ounces because 4 of those equals a pound. How about if you were going to weigh a bag of potatoes? Would you say it's the best estimate would be 10 ounces? Or 1 pound, or 10 pounds? 10 pounds, because potatoes are heavy in those sacks, right? You could buy them in 5-pound bags, you can buy them in 10-pound bags, you can buy them in bigger even than that, but most times in the grocery store it's a 5-pound bag or a 10-pound bag, unless you buy them loose, right? Okay, so let's say, if I told you, I'm going to turn the camera back around again. If I told you that if 1 pound equals 16 ounces, right? 1 pound equals 16 ounces, then how many ounces would 3 pounds be? So how would we figure that out? Well, if we know one of these units is 16 ounces, so 1 pound has 16 ounces, and another pound has 16 ounces, and the third pound has 16 ounces, right? This is 1 pound, this is 1 pound, and this is 1 pound. How would I figure out if one of these equals 16 ounces? What does 3 of these equal? So the way I would figure that out is I would take 16 plus 16 plus 16. 6, 12, 18. Put down the 8, regroup the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 48 ounces then. So that's what would go on this line here. Okay. What if I asked you, if I changed this and I change this to, let's say, 5 pounds. How many ounces would that be? So now it's like having 2 more of these. So we know that would be 16 ounces and 16 ounces. So that would be, we have 48 for these three. So we could just add 16 and 16 to it. And we would get 12 plus 8 is 20. Put down the 0, regroup the 2. 2 and 4 is 6, 7, 8. 80 ounces would be our answer. You see how we're doing that? Okay. The last thing that I wanted to go over would be comparing measurements. Now, sometimes when we compare measurements, it's a no-brainer and it's very easy because of the way or the two measurements were given. Like if I gave you 3 ounces and you had to tell me whether it was less than, equal to, or greater than 3 pounds. Well, you could do that quite easily. The first thing you have to do is just look at the units. Which one is bigger? Is ounces bigger or pounds bigger? Hopefully you told me that pounds were bigger. So if you have the same number, 3 ounces, 3 pounds, all you have to do is compare the numbers. And then, the units, because the numbers are the same. So we would just compare the units. So since ounces are smaller, I would know that the whole thing is smaller. So we'd say 3 ounces is less than 3 pounds. So that one was kind of easy. What if you were given something where they had the same unit of measure, but different numbers? So let's say we had 4 ounces compared to 2 ounces. This time, the number was the same, but this time, it's the ounces that are the same. So you look at it, the ounces, and you say, well, I have 2 ounces on this side and I have 4 ounces on that side. So is 4 ounces less than 2 ounces? 4 ounces equal to 2 ounces? Or is 4 ounces greater than 2 ounces? Hopefully, you told me it's greater than. Okay, so now what if the numbers are different and the units of measure are different? What if you were given something like this? 3 pounds compared to 64 ounces. Now, you first, again, have to look at the units. That's the first thing you look at, the units of measure. I have pounds, I have ounces. Which one's bigger? Pounds. Pounds is bigger. So when I have 2 units of measure that are different from one another, and one is bigger, one unit is bigger than the other unit, I changed the bigger one into the smaller one. I renamed the bigger one in the smaller one's units. So now you can't just look at this and say, well, the number 3 is smaller than 64, so therefore it must be 3 pounds is less than 64 ounces. That might be the case, but we don't know for sure if it is. It might not be the case. So what you'd have to do first is we have to turn ounces into, pounds into ounces. Now we already know, you already wrote down that 1 pound equals how many ounces? 16 ounces, right? So if 1 pound equals 16 ounces, how many ounces does 3 pounds equal? 3 times 16, or 16 plus 16 plus 16, which we already did as 48 ounces in the previous board. 1, 2, 3 times 6 is 18. Put down the 8, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, so it's 48 ounces. So what I do is underneath, I write 48 ounces smaller underneath. Now I can compare 3 pounds to 64 ounces because I know that 3 pounds equals 48 ounces. And when my ounces are the same, then I can compare just the numbers like I did here. So is 3 pounds less than 64 ounces? Is 3 pounds equal to 48 ounces? Or is 3 pounds greater than 48 ounces? I am really hoping that you said less than. Okay, that's it.